Hello friends, welcome back to the Matt Greer Music Channel. I am your host Matt. Well, it's been a little while since I did a video like this, but it's been about 2 months since I got this guy for Christmas, and I thought it'd be a good time to talk about my more or less initial thoughts on it, having made several beats, a couple tracks with it. It's a good time now probably to share my pros and cons on this device, so if that interests you, stick around. So before we get into it, I just want to talk a little bit about how excited I was when they announced this product. I mean, a KO2 is something that has been on my wish list for a long time. It is no secret that if you follow my channel, you know that I absolutely love the original KO, and I have made tons of beats. In fact, I've made whole albums on just this tiny little sampler. So I absolutely fell in love with the original workflow. So when they announced a KO2, I was absolutely over the moon excited to have it. I immediately asked my wife for it for Christmas, and thankfully she got it for me. But I have to say, I was a little disappointed with how this deviated from some of the things about the workflow of the original KO. More on that in a second. Okay, so let's get into the review here. So I don't know if you've watched my reviews before, but I'm not real scientific. I'm not going to go through every feature of this device and tell you what I think or show you how it works. We have channels like Loopop like that, Bo Beats, Cuckoo. If you want really exhaustive demonstrations of everything this does, watch one of those. This is just my thoughts as a fellow beat maker, musician, talking about this thing, telling you what I like, what I don't like, so that you, a fellow beat maker, can maybe make an informed decision. So like I mentioned, let's first talk about the deviations on this from the original KO. As I mentioned, I love this thing. I've made a ton of music with it. I feel like I know it backwards and forwards, and I feel like I'm pretty good at making music on this thing. So when they announced a pro version of that, that was like a no-brainer for me to want it. But there were a few things after I got my hands on this that I was a little disappointed with. Number one is the pattern chaining is so much easier, and the way you can pattern chain on the original KO is basically a song mode. So if you're not familiar, the way to make a pattern chain on this is you just hold down pattern and you choose the patterns you want to play in the order you want to play them. And if I wanted the first pattern, say this one, to play 4 times, I'll hold down pattern, go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I want it to go to this pattern and go 1, 2 there, 1 there, 3 on that one. Let's play that one for 8 times. It will do those, repeat them the number I've told it, and just go through the whole thing automated in a song mode. This doesn't have that. This has this scene idea. And each scene can have multiple patterns in it, which is great and all that, which it means you have a bajillion patterns that you can add to a song, way more than you actually need to a song. I think you could basically have a whole set for one project if you wanted to. Point being, I don't really like it. I really wish there was still just some simple way for me to hold down a button and say, play this scene 3 times, this scene twice, this scene 8 times, and this my outro, play it twice, and then this one's blank, put that on the end, 10 times so that it just stays silent, and then just push play and just let it do it. Just do a song mode. The scene thing is probably one of the most frustrating aspects of this device to me. Now, I have figured out some, I don't want to say workarounds, but planning tricks that might help. I plan to do another video of just kind of some tips and tricks that I've figured out to try to help you, but we'll save that for the next video. The other deviation that I don't really like is this had performance effects very similar to the ones you get on here. All right, so let's just hear the effects here real quick. They work really, really well. I love the performance effects, but one thing that is missing is that you can't record them to the sequencer. With this one, I could record the performance effects to the sequencer, and that way automate those changes, again, to song mode, so that I didn't have to manually do it while it played back and try to record it perfectly and all of those things. So that is an odd omission to me. Other than that, it is basically everything that I would have wanted out of a KO2. it's more polyphony, it sounds better, it's got better effects, the sequencer is deeper. There's a lot to like here. But let's talk about a couple of the cons that are kind of unique to this device. Let's talk about the build. Obviously, any review of this has to include some acknowledgement of some build issues. Now, personally, I have not had any problems with it, although I will say that when it arrived, there's a clear plastic bit here over the screen that was like crooked and ajar and kind of half snapped on. I had to press it down and clip it on there. It doesn't seem to affect it negatively in any way, but that was a little bit concerning when I took it out of the box, and I was like, oh no, here we go. The fader, as you can see, I did not put the official knob on. I was afraid to do that. I just found whatever the first random Lego piece I could find, this little clear yellow thing, and used that instead. I could tell that even though I didn't open mine until Christmas, it was the first iteration of release because it didn't have the extra protection in the box around the fader or any of that. So I do feel pretty confident in saying this was like a first batch production unit. Other than that, no other real issues. My letters are in the right place, the numbers are in the right place, everything seems to work just fine. Again, I've not had any issues with the fader. So I'm pretty happy with the build. I like actually the way it feels, this cool like kind of slab of hard plastic. It feels nice. I like how thin it is and how flat it lays on the desk. So yeah, there was one weird issue with the screen, but otherwise the build on mine has been fine. But I acknowledge that that has not been the case for everybody. Let's see, let's talk about something else. Oh, this is one of the biggest detractors for me. So the effects. It's nice that we have effects. It's a shame that we can only choose one send effect per project. I wish that you could have at least two, but again, the OPZ does that, so maybe they're trying not to compete with this guy too much. But there should be at least some optional workarounds. So let me talk about one. So one thing that you can do is you can apply the effect to an input. So I've got this little drum machine going here. And if I want to, I can add effects to that. Right now it's reverb, which is cool. But let's turn the effect on. Let's try to sample that a little bit. I'm going to say stereo. Choose here, and now it did not record that effect with my sample. That is a huge missed opportunity for me, because the reason is it would open up the workflow so much, because you could sample an external source with reverb, delay, chorus, whatever you wanted, and then you wouldn't have to use that send effect in the project. So you could have a stereo sample that had reverb and then choose delay as your send effect. So basically giving you two effects to work with in your project. So hoping that's something they add, or if they don't add that, at least add resample, so I can choose a sound, add chorus, resample it, and then use reverb as my send effect, or delay, or distortion, or whatever you want. And then you could keep doing that, so as many times as you had stereo samples, you could have different stereo effects in the same project. That would broaden this up so much. So either giving us the ability to sample the input effect or let us resample would expand the sonic palette of this device immensely. I think that would take this into like SP404 Mark II territory at that point. Resample or recording samples with input effects. That is one of my biggest detractors. The other is the scene thing. I talked about that already. I really wish it just had a song mode. It would make life a lot easier. Trying to think what else I find annoying about it. I would say that's kind of it. I mean, I wish that it had more polyphony. I wish that it had more sample time, but those things are inherent to the device, and you have to understand you're buying a $300 sampler, so you're not going to get a ton of premium features with that kind of money. If you need more polyphony, if you want to run a ton of different effects, if you want to have all these advanced features, you might want to look at an MPC or something from Electron, and obviously you're going to spend more money. But with just a couple changes, I think this would be really in a premium device category. Other than that, that's pretty much the only negatives that I have about it. Things that I really do like about it is the sequencer is excellent. I think that sampling and getting samples into it and sequencing them right away and getting beats and grooves going really quickly is very, very easy. The workflow is very smooth on this, and that's something that they got right as compared to this one. They carried over a smooth, easy workflow from this to this. So I think that's probably the biggest attractor to the EP-133 is the workflow and ease of use and inspirability. I don't know if that's a word, but you know, it's ability to inspire, because it doesn't hold you back by a lot of technical challenges or having to you know, get a PhD to understand how to work the thing. So yeah, KO2 has some things that I wish were better about it, but for the most part, I think it's pretty darn good for the money. Is it my favorite sampler? No. And I've got a ton of them, honestly. And there are things that are even in the same price range that I'm not sure that I like this better. But I'll do a comparison of this to other things in another video as well. If there's anything you'd like to know about specifically, please put those questions in the comments. I will answer those. If there's anything you want to see in a future video, let me know as well. And as always, thank you for watching, guys. This has been my impressions of the KO2. Have a good day. Bye.